In 1882, life in the American Wild West was dangerous. Food was scarce, disease spread quickly, and only the toughest could survive. In a small town in Arizona, Albert, a shepherd, goes to the town square to meet a cowboy who has threatened to kill Albert's family if he does not get back the money he lost because of Albert's sheep. Now he was ready for a gunfight, but Albert was a coward who started making up arguments to avoid the fight and even made shadows with his hands naughty. The cowboy grabs and shoots Albert in the leg while Louise, Albert's girlfriend, looks disappointed. Later, Albert and Louise have a picnic by the river and Louise says that Albert should have been braver. She abruptly breaks up with him, saying that she has been thinking about it for a while. Albert says that he loves her, but Louise leaves anyway. Meanwhile, at the pub, Edward waits for his girlfriend to finish work. The manager mocks him for dating a woman who pleases other men, but he doesn't care about appearances. Ruth quickly leaves the room and goes out with Edward after promising the manager she will be back in time to meet another customer. In the evening, Edward and Ruth visit Albert for support, as he can't stop thinking about Louise and looking at pictures of them together. They end up going to the pub to get drunk, and Albert leaves raving about how living in the Wild West is the worst because anything can kill you. He mentioned things like animals starving to death, but also drunk people going to the bathroom, and miners dying of farts after eating spicy wings, which was happening behind his back. He then brought his friends out to point out that the mayor had been lying dead outside for 3 days and no one had paid any attention to him. At that moment, 2 wolves rushed out and took the mayor's body to eat. A guy in a pub gets fed up with Albert's ramblings and throws him out the window. After drinking a lot of wine, Albert clumsily rode his horse and even fell, but he still made it to Louise's house. He tries in vain to win her back. The next day, an old man rode out of town with his dog Plugger. He was happy to have found a gold coin which he quickly hid when he saw a group of suspicious horsemen coming. The famous criminal Clinch demanded gold from the man and even told him to pull out his gun so he could get it fairly without robbing him. The old man did so and Clinch said they would shoot 3, but Clinch shot 2 and killed the old man. Clinch's wife Anna protests the needless killings and Clinch grabs her by the neck to threaten her. He then takes the man's map and splits up to search the area, taking Louis and Anna into town. On the way out, Anna decides to keep Plugger. Meanwhile, Edward goes to see Albert. While they talk about relationships and women, Albert is shocked to learn that Edward and Ruth have not done the dirty work yet because they are Christians waiting to be married. The boys go into town to see an ice cream delivery from Boston, which falls and kills a boy. They are shocked to find Louise with a new boyfriend named Foy, whose mustache is the envy of all men. Later at church, Albert continues to exchange threatening glances with Foy. The pastor introduces Anna and Louis, 2 self-proclaimed sisters who have just moved into town. After the service, Albert goes to see Foy and asks for products that will help him grow a beard. However, Foy mocked him and said that agricultural wages did not allow him to buy such luxury products. That evening at the pub, Edward asks Ruth to be intimate one last time, but she hesitates. He noticed that she had man's seed on her face and wiped it off with his handkerchief. Albert then announces that he wants to leave town and gives Edward his favorite socks. So in return, Edward gives him his handkerchief, which gets stuck on Albert's hand. Meanwhile, a cowboy accidentally bumps into Louis and spills his drink. Louis asked to buy a new one, so the cowboy poured Louis a drink just to stuff his cigar inside. Louis responded by shooting the guy, immediately starting a bar fight. While the men brutally attack each other, start fires, destroy furniture, and even kill a few, Albert and Edward pretend to fight to stay alone. Bottles were broken and used to stab the fighters while Anna dodged everything and drank in a corner. At that moment, Albert realized that 2 men were about to fall on Anna, so he quickly rushed in to save her by pushing her out. More men join the fight with weapons, so the duo run to the town square to walk around and chat while playing with Plugger. After a few throws, Plugger returns with the mayor's leg instead of a stick, so the duo decide to go to the cliffs to relax. While sharing a cigarette, Albert tells Anna all about his situation with Louise, and Anna concludes that Louise is missing a nice guy. Suddenly, a snake walks past them, so they stand still to avoid being bitten. Anna then convinces Albert to take her to the fair to make Louise jealous. The next day, Anna visits Louis in prison, calling him stupid for shooting the pastor's son. She admits that she will be happy the day Clinch dies and leaves without saving Louis. She then goes with Albert to the fair where a man is taking pictures. However, his camera explodes, setting the photographer and his client on fire. The 2 men quickly shot the customers to save them from pain. Just then, Louise and Foy arrive, so Anna pretends to be Albert's girlfriend while they exchange pleasantries. Anna mentions that there is a shooting gallery and Foy tricks Albert into accepting the bet. The game involved taking pictures of fleeing slaves, and Foy shot all 6 bullets. When it's Albert's turn, he misses every shot. Before he can pay, Anna intervenes and convinces Foy to make the bet more difficult. She asked the game master to move as fast as possible and use 2 guns to hit each target within seconds. Now Foy has to pay Albert $1, which shocks everyone because they have never seen money higher than coins. Refusing to be considered a loser, Foy continued to taunt Albert, who lashed out and challenged Foy to a fight the next day. Foy accepted, and after leaving, Albert panicked and regretted his decision. Anna decides to teach Albert how to shoot, and on the way out, they see a bull charge and kill a shopkeeper. The duo goes out on the town to practice, and Albert repeatedly proves that he is a terrible shot, even at close range. Luckily, Anna was very patient and never gave up, trying many different tricks to make Albert gradually improve. Little by little, finally, after shooting cans and bottles, they pulled one up to the door and Albert took his shot, nearly killing his own father in the process. After the training was complete, Anna rewarded him with a cookie. They watched the sunset together, and the cookies made them jump even at small animals. In town, the sheriff opens the cell to give Lewis something to eat. Pretending to be asleep, Lewis suddenly attacked the police chief, killing him by hitting his head on the bars. That evening, Albert goes to the barn dance with Anna, who wears an extremely fancy dress for the occasion. Foy and Louise are also there, and once again Foy wants to compete. He tells the band to play a song celebrating the joys of having a mustache, humiliating Albert for not having one, and got him kicked out of the dance floor competition. Anna is not satisfied and comes up with a plan. Steal a bottle of whiskey from the bartender and put a laxative in the glass. She then challenges Foy to a drinking contest and intentionally loses by tricking Foy into drinking her little trap. Afterwards, Albert and Anna leave the party and decide to go drinking at the farm. They talk a lot and bond over their hatred of the Wild West. Albert asks a sheep to bring Anna a picture of a smiling man, which is considered impossible. Anna thanks him with a kiss on the cheek, which quickly turns into a real kiss. Feeling uncomfortable, Albert takes Anna back to his hotel, and they end up kissing again, which Lewis sees. On the way back, Albert notices a bright light coming from a barn. He opened the door and saw Doc Brown from Back to the Future working on the DeLorean. The doctor said that this was just a weather experiment, and Albert believed him. Meanwhile, at Foy's, Louise asks him not to kill Albert, but he refuses. Then they started playing around again with Louise sucking on her mustache, but Foy suddenly felt nauseous and had to run to the bathroom. The next morning, Anna knocked on the door and opened it and discovered it was Clinch. A while later, in the town square, Albert is worried because Anna has not yet appeared. Foy arrives, but he can barely walk and is starting to feel sick again, so he has to steal the hats to relieve himself in them. When Foy is finally ready to fight, Albert drops his belt and gun, saying that Foy can keep Louise since he's gone. After wishing Louise luck in her new life, Albert went looking for Anna and found her room empty. Confused, Albert went to the pub to talk to his friends. Just then, Clinch arrived with his group and announced that someone had been seen kissing his wife Anna, whom he was also training. When Albert's heart breaks upon hearing that Anna is married, Clinch asks who kissed his wife and shoots a random cowboy with a famous face to prove how dangerous he is. Before leaving, Clinch tells the crowd that he will kill more people if Anna's kisser does not find him by tomorrow noon. Later, Clinch takes Anna out of town to beat her for kissing another man. He also threatens to kill Plugger, forcing Anna to confess Albert's name. Clinch then forcefully kissed Anna and pulled down his pants to do the dirty work, so Anna took advantage of the distraction to hit him on the head with a rock. Before leaving, she placed a flower on Clinch's back. Using Clinch's horse, Anna goes to the farm, where Albert is packing to leave before Clinch can find him. He is angry that Anna lied to him, admit he loves her. Anna explains that she married Clinch when she was 9 years old and is now with him by force, then admits that she also loves Albert. The moment is interrupted when they see Clinch's group coming, so Anna leaves after telling Albert that Clinch always shoots too. Soon, Clinch and his men arrived at the farm and began searching for Albert, who was hiding among his sheep and had his face peed on. When the group wasn't looking, Albert snuck out and found his horse to escape. A chase ensues when Clinch fails to shoot Albert due to the speed he is going. They reached the tracks and Albert tried to overtake them before the train passed, jumping on them to escape. Finally, he got off the train and stopped to let his horse rest. only for someone to suddenly knock him down. In town, Edward and Ruth decide to mend their relationship. Edward panics when he sees a woman's role for the first time, and when they finally start working, they are interrupted by Anna. It turns out Lewis was looking for her, but when he burst in, she escaped through the window. Unfortunately, she was immediately stopped by Clinch. Meanwhile, Albert wakes up tied to a post surrounded by a tribe of Apache Indians. They plan to burn it, but Albert surprises them when he speaks their language, admitting that he has studied a lot in his spare time. The Indians took him down and sat around the campfire, sharing special drinks with him. Albert drinks too much and begins to hallucinate quite intensely. For the first time, he recalls old memories, like the time he was born and when his father refused to hug him. When Albert lost his first tooth, he put it under his pillow, but in the morning all he found was horse manure. At his graduation ceremony, the fake Abraham Lincoln gave a terrible speech. When he got his first bicycle, he tried to show it to Louise and crashed into a herd of horses, causing them to fall. Then a group of dwarf cowboys drove him out of town. Suddenly, the hallucination takes Albert to a strange field, where Anna tells Louise that she has big eyes, and Albert screams when he sees Louise's changed face. Later, a group of sheep that look like Foy gather to sing the mustache song while dancing and urinating. A door appears and a couple of long-legged sheep tell Albert to open it when he's ready. The handle is a snake that attacks Albert, but he doesn't give up and tries again. The door opens and Albert sees Anna in her wedding dress waiting for him. As he walks through the door, a condor appears in the sky with Clinch's face in its mouth. Albert fails to defeat him, so he kicks him in the naughty area to defeat him. At that moment, Albert comes out of the hallucination and realizes that he has found the courage he needed, so Albert thanks the Indians for their wisdom and leaves. 6 minutes before noon, Albert appears in the town square, where Clinch is holding Anna hostage. He sends him towards his men so he can fight and the countdown begins, but Albert remembers Anna's advice and shoots one. Clinch was shot in the arm, but he still managed to shoot, disarming Albert. To buy time, Albert begins to sing a song about death, claiming that it is a family tradition before dying. Suddenly, Clinch begins to feel very sick and collapses when Albert reveals that the Indians taught him how to take venom from a snake and wrap a ball around it. He felt very proud of himself, but Clinch hadn't heard a word about it yet because he was already dead. Anna kicks the outlaws holding hostages to free herself and runs into Albert's arms, celebrating her victory with a kiss. Louise approaches and tries to pick up Albert, but he pushes her away because he is now with Anna. As the new couple leaves, Anna reminds Albert that there is a reward on Clinch's head. Soon, Albert received the money and bought tons of sheep for his farm so he could start a new life with Anna. Meanwhile, a famous cowboy from another movie appears at the fair and kills the operator for his racist shooting game. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.